Hello everyone, this is POW coming at you with another update. In this update, we'll be talking about a major winter storm with an ice storm as well as some heavy snow, and then also a severe weather threat for the south and southeast, and yet another potential major storm for the mid-Atlantic states by Thursday. So before I do get started, if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family on social media. All right, so let's get started here. Let's take a look at the overall watches and warnings and look at that. Pretty much the entire state of Texas and under a dense fog advisory where they're going to be expecting some severe weather later on this afternoon into the overnight. We'll touch on, but now we're looking at some winter storm watches and warnings for parts of Kansas, going into Nebraska as well as Iowa, getting into Minnesota and Wisconsin and Illinois, and then we also have a bunch of some winter weather advisories for the Northwest and getting into the Four Corners region. So yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. So let's take a look at the overall vorticity index and what's happening at the upper levels. And we'll kind of give you kind of a true depiction on how this actually is going to play out. And look at this. I mean, we've got this deep developing upper level low that's off just the Baja of California. That has given you some much needed rain for the desert Southwest and snow for the Four Corners region. But that's also going to set the stage for our potential severe weather risk later on today for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then eventually this will swing up into further into to the northeast, getting into parts of Arkansas by Monday. But we have that first little clipper system that's going to bring some snow showers into this region where they have the winter weather advisories going on right now. And then by Monday night, we've got another developing trough that's going to be digging all the way down into California again. And that's actually going to kind of set the stage for our potential major weather event that's going to be in the heartland of the country. And that'll continue to swing off into the central U.S. and eventually getting into the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. And I kind of stopped it here by Tuesday night, and you can kind of really see how this is all going to play out. Here's the jet, really digs really deep down into the south, but then it kind of amplifies. We got a warm front surging to the north, and that's where we're going to be our severe weather. This is all going to be warm air right here, and that's going to be a potential or severe weather and some heavy rain event. But along this line, along this boundary line, you can actually see where this snowstorm is going to play out with ice as well along this line right here. But by Thursday night, that other low that was back behind it, that is continuing to swing across, and that's going to really amplify over the waters of the Mid-Atlantic and could really be a big weather event coming up by Thursday for the Mid-Atlantic region. So yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. Let's kind of take a look under the hood of what's actually happening at the surface. So here's all it's going to play out. This is today on Sunday morning. There's our snowfall right now that's happening in the Minnesota, going into Wisconsin, getting into parts of Michigan, and little in parts of Illinois as well. And that'll kind of extend further east as we go throughout the day. And here's down to the south. You can see where it's all the dense fog advisories happening right now. We've got just sporadic little drizzle and kind of rain, but that's actually going to get the atmosphere kind of primed and ready for the big event that's going to be happening later on today. This system will swing across, so that's going to bring a good 3 to 5 inches in this area from basically Minneapolis to parts of Wisconsin, getting into northern parts of Iowa, and then kind of 1 to 2 inches on the outside. This will get into parts of Michigan, but it won't reach all the places like, say, Detroit from this event. We've got a developing trough that's going to be hitting down from the northwest, so that's going to bring some rain off the coast, Washington and Oregon, and get into northern California, snow in the interior regions, and then with heavy snow in the Four Corners region. But down to the south, that's where we got that warm surge with the upper level trough that's going to be moving in. And here's your freezing line. Here it is right here. So this warm surge will continue to try to lift north as this cold air presses down to the south. And there's your boundary line. That's going to set the stage for our major ice storm and snowstorm. But down to the south, unfortunately, we got a severe weather threat to talk about. This is what's on the table for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Later on this afternoon, going into the overnight, we do have a slight risk of severe weather. I kind of depicted on how this is going to play out. It's mainly a hail event. So, because there's a capping inversion over the Dallas-Fort Worth area, basically a warm layer aloft. Storms are expected to fire above the boundary line, what they call elevated storms. Those could be hail producer storms and large hail. But we also, that, like I said, we have a cap in place. And if we see any sun, if we see any type of eroding in the cap or type of weakness, that could penetrate the updrafts and cause towering thunderstorms. That could also create surface-based storms, would pose a damaging wind threat, and an isolated tornado threat is on the table and can't be ruled out in this scenario. But you can see as this continues moving along to the northeast, we do have that marginal risk, and it kind of transfer into a severe threat, and then getting into more of a heavy rain threat as we get further in the interior regions in the Tennessee Valley. So be on the lookout for the Dallas-Fort Worth area, because you are under a severe weather risk for later on today for hail, damaging winds, and an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. So let's continue. Here's by Monday morning. You can see the surge from the south where that heavier rain and the severe weather threat. But right here, this is the boundary line. This is the demarcation line and the Bear Clinic zone where it's really going to amplify. So where the snow kind of really turns over, I mean, you could start getting some heavy snow and parts of Kansas, and this is going to be a training along the line. So it's going to be a sharp gradient, depending on where exactly you live. You could get no snow, and then 50 miles to the north, you could get a foot. So that is the gradient that we're working with, and this will continue to traverse across to the east, going into Nebraska by tomorrow morning on Monday, and this will set the stage for potentially a turnover for an ice storm as well along this boundary in northern Missouri, getting into central Illinois, and this will continue moving along to the east, and as it lifts, it'll create more snow and then ice as well, unfortunately. And I do see the highest snowfall totals that come out of this storm, essentially in southeast Nebraska, getting into southern Iowa. This whole area could easily pick up a foot, if not almost 18 inches from this storm. This will continue moving off to the east. Places like Chicago, I'm thinking like 6 inches, maybe a little bit higher amounts, a little bit further south of Chicago. Northern Indiana is snow. Middle, central Indiana, ice. Southern, rain. Same thing with Ohio. Basically, southern Ohio, all rain. Central, some ice, and then a little bit of snow in Ohio for the northern regions, but not as much as Illinois. And this will continue. As this surge comes in from the southwest, you can see the warm surge, and we got cold air coming in from the north. So that's going to be that pressing event that's going to be taking place in the northeast as the cold and warm are going to try to battle it out. And as this continues to lift, you can see the surge. I mean, down to the south, we're talking widespread 70s, if not 80s in Florida. So there's a lot of warm air to work with, but also cold air too. So along that boundary line, these are high temperatures on Monday. You can kind of see where that snow event is going to take place. These are high temperatures right here, and then down to the south, more of a heavier rain and just all warmth down in the south and to the southeast, getting into parts of the Carolinas on Monday. But as this continues to move along by Tuesday, it'll still have some snow showers on the backside of this system in Iowa, going into northern Missouri, getting into Illinois, Indiana, parts of Michigan now. So that's Detroit's going to pick up on the action, maybe 3 inches from this system. And this will continue along. I do think, say, places like Pittsburgh, you're going to be kind of in a more of a dry slot. I mean, on the outskirts, there's going to be an ice threat and a heavy snow threat just not too far away from you guys, where, along outside of Pittsburgh, you could be setting up for a major ice event from this storm as well. And this will continue moving along to Pennsylvania and parts of New York. I think like DC is going to be kind of on the borderline from this particular system. As this system comes in, you may see may see a half inch to an inch from this system, but I do feel I'm sticking with 2 to 4 inch totals in Jersey, 2 to 4 inch totals in New York City from this particular system. And as this will continue to lift off from the northeast, it'll still have snow on the backside by Tuesday night, and really start to kind of deepen as this low moves across to the northeast. But on the backside, it transfers to all snow by then. So that's where you're going to pick up predominantly most of your snow into the northeast is by Tuesday night, getting into early Wednesday morning from this system, going into places like Massachusetts, getting into parts of Connecticut by then. But look at this, back behind it, we have yet another system really starting to deepen over the central U.S. Look at the freezing line here. So this is actually going to traverse a little bit further south than what this system will be. And yet we have another system that's diving in. This is going to bring some ample rain to California. And by Wednesday into Thursday, I'm getting a little bit more concerned. I mean, for, not just the heavy rain in California, but also landslides you might have to be dealing with by the time, Wednesday, Thursday, getting into Friday, as this rain total start to kind of really, pick up in a big way over California. I do feel that's going to be a risk as we go into later next week. So yeah, here's the ice threat from this system. You can see where that boundary line is going to lie. Right along the boundary, you're going to have a turnover effect for ice. So northern Missouri, southern Iowa, getting into a good chunk of central Illinois, a good chunk of Indiana is going to be hit with some ice with this storm, and going into Ohio as well. So that's going to be a downfall from this system. Like I said, there's your dry slot in Pittsburgh, but just on the outskirts. I mean, you won't have to go too far away. I mean, we're talking a half inch almost plus, ice in this scenario. So this is dangerous roads to travel on. And most of south and central Pennsylvania, I do feel you'll get some ice from this system as this goes into parts of like Maryland, going into Delaware, and parts of Jersey is going to pick up some ice from the system as well. And here's some of your snowfall totals. I mean, yeah, some pretty heavy snowfall totals for the mountains, basically like Flagstaff. The Four Corners region is going to pick up some heavier snow. We could get some snow places like Portland, places like Vancouver. I'm expecting a little bit of snow, but then higher amounts obviously in the mountain regions, and then just crazy amounts in the mountain regions of the Sierras. We're talking 3, 4, possibly up to 5 feet from just in the next 4, 5, 6 days from this system, because we got a lot of moisture to work with from this system. But there's your kind of your bullseye where I do feel like places like southeast Nebraska, getting into central and southern Iowa. This is the kind of the bullseye of your major winter threat from snow of a good 12 to 18 inches from this system. And then this will continue and put off a little bit less amounts as we go. Like I mentioned, probably 6 inches in Chicago and a little bit less into northern Indiana. Maybe 2 to 4 inches, but mainly an ice threat for you guys. And then same thing with Ohio. The amounts lessen even further as we continue to push off into the mid-Atlantic, getting into Pennsylvania. Like I mentioned, some of these amounts, in the broadcast. But yeah, now let's take a look at the overall liquid precipitation from this system. Yeah, this is just over the next 5 days. You can see where that warm surge put in some rain over Texas. But here's your isolated flood threat could be taking center stage by the time Tuesday rolls around, as that warm surge moves in from the south. So all snow to the north and all rain to the south, and could be heavy, taking advantage of that warm air that's pulling from the south as well. And then we've got that ample supply of moisture coming in from California. But that storm system was over the central part of the U.S. That's going to continue to dive off the coast of the mid-Atlantic states, and could almost somewhat bomb out by then. This could be a pretty big snow event for you guys. So it's kind of too early to depict actual snowfall totals just yet. But yeah, this system looks fairly impressive as this continues moving off to the east by Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. and could be a big event for the mid-Atlantic states. We'll have to wait until probably tomorrow once this system gets more in line, because it could have an effect. The first system could have an effect on the second system and how it's actually going to play out. But it looks pretty promising right now for some big snowfall totals for the mid-Atlantic region by Thursday, and that system would be a little bit further south than what you're going to be experiencing from the first system. So, hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.